Chapter 7, Recovery Supporters, RSs. You used to be much more muchier. You've lost your muchness. Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Qualified. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, neighbors, friends, anyone affected by a person's addictive behaviors is a candidate for the role of Recovery Supporter, RS. Nearly anyone who is willing and competent to contribute qualifies. Nearly everyone. Disqualified. Most people with a personality disorder of their own are disqualified. A bipolar mother or a schizophrenic father will most assuredly make things worse by being involved in someone's recovery. I mean no offense to anyone with a personality disorder, but these individuals already have enough to deal with without the burden of a person's addictive disorder. While such individuals can provide moral support, it is unlikely that anyone with a personality disorder can help an addict in recovery any more than a using addict is qualified to help someone with another personality disorder. These people may have been an original contributing reason for the addictive behaviors in the first place, or may be a part of the current sustaining factors. If one who wishes to be a recovery supporter is a negative influence, appropriate modifications need to be made. It is rarely required or even healthy to leave, break up, divorce, or otherwise sever these relationships entirely, but the terms of the relationship must be modified or redefined. Severing a relationship can be tempting at times, and it does often need to be done. However, severing a relationship during the acute, early stages of recovery can be counterproductive, as this will lead to confusion, stress, heartache, self-doubt, and other distractions that undermine a much-needed strong recovery mentality. An addict needs to focus on recovery, not the dynamics of a relationship. Even if you recognize your mother, father, significant other, or anyone intimate as toxic, you should wait to terminate the relationship at least until a time when you have clarity and stability. You simply do not have the clarity required to execute such a massive transition yet. The early stages of recovery impair clarity and make us fragile, so caution is required in all things. If toxic family members or friends continue to be counterproductive, the addict should distance himself or herself from them. But in the early stages of recovery, these relationships rarely need to be terminated, as they are integral and historical parts of one's identity. Such an abrupt change during a crisis state, such as recovery, can be shocking both mentally and emotionally. It is common to underestimate this shock. We often convince ourselves that we'll be fine if we terminate a relationship, especially when we are angry or feel intense about cutting someone off or out. We must remember that it is not possible to make abrupt changes without affecting the subconscious and adding levels of stress or mental burden. However, there is one exception. Any relationship that is dangerous or tormenting, i.e. abusive, needs to be severed stat. Being a recovery supporter. Hopefully, you've begun reading this book to get intimately acquainted with the addiction pathology, and this implies you are committed to becoming a positive force in someone's life. Recovery supporters will benefit from every section of this book. The role of a recovery supporter can be a life-changing and life-saving role for both parties. This cannot be overstated. The person in recovery and his or her recovery supporters need to become experts if success is to be attained. To consolidate the supportive role philosophy, here are some basic guidelines. These should be combined with the database you're about to build using this book. If you're not willing to commit all the way in the supportive role, leave this role alone. Doing nothing is better than doing something badly. Don't personalize. Don't judge. Be firm. Don't compromise or negotiate. Maintain focus on the goal. Be objective and honest. Be mature. Maintain and enforce boundaries. Don't allow your fears or insecurities to make the decisions. Have confidence. It's infectious. Don't guess. Know. Let's take a closer look at these guidelines. Don't personalize. No addict has become an addict to punish you. Addiction is not personal, but it will disguise and present itself that way again and again. The alien in the brain motivates the addict to be hurtful, to convince you to give up. If it can get you to quit, the alien can be left alone and won't need to compete for the addict's life or soul. If a 5-year-old says something offensive, we excuse it because we accept that the child did not mean or even really understand what he or she said. Addicts or anyone whose consciousness is compromised by crisis are like 5-year-olds. They're simply not accountable. They know not what they do, but it will sure seem like they do. Expect to be emotionally attacked and expect these attacks to be personal, visceral, and brutal. By expecting them, you will pleasantly be surprised if they don't happen and resiliently prepared if they do. So expect the worst and hope for the best. Love, forgiveness, and tolerance are the magical ingredients that will inspire more growth than nearly anything else you can offer. On some level, everyone knows when he or she is inflicting pain. Believe it or not, addicts wish they were stronger and less selfish and were inflicting pleasure instead of pain. You will need to turn the other cheek. Don't get revenge or get beaten down, but don't take abuse either. How to do this will be covered in more detail. Don't judge. No one truly knows what it's like to be someone else. We may be experiencing the same rainstorm or heat wave, but we process it differently, whether slightly or greatly. If you hate rain, it sucks. If you love rain, it's great, but it's the same rain. Do not infer or project the sense that someone is stupid or weak because he or she cannot do, understand, or perceive what is so evident to you. Addiction is not a reasonable choice. It is a compulsory behavior, and any form of judgment impedes progress and recovery. We do not have to accept someone as an addict. Addicts should learn that we will not have a relationship with them if they continue to be destructive or self-destructive, but they should never feel that they are inferior to you or that you are superior to them. If you're not an addict or stupid, unstable, poor, ugly, or otherwise defective, be grateful, not arrogant. We all have defects. Within moments of listening to you expose someone else's faults, I can expose yours too. Be firm, maintain focus, and have confidence. Firmness, focus, and confidence work together. A vulnerable person will find comfort and strength in things that are reliable and consistent. This means that once agreements and arrangements have been made, they cannot be compromised or negotiated easily or at all. A recovery supporter needs to be firm, not passive, not aggressive, not passive-aggressive, but firm. It is easy to be distracted by life circumstances and lose focus. Recovery cannot afford pauses or stops due to life's changes and unpredictability. If a marathon runner is to finish his race, he needs to block out the pain and discomfort. Finishing the race is the priority, and it requires absolute, unwavering focus. The only way you can be firm and focused is if you have confidence, not just hope. We do not need to believe in recovery. It's not Santa Claus or a unicorn. It is real and available. Hope is not firm or solid. It is nebulous and fragile. Confidence, on the other hand, is the understanding that our knowledge and path are sensible and well thought out. It is not reliant upon a miracle or magic. 1 + 1 = 2. This is a fact. You have total confidence that if you add 1 and 1, you will indeed get 2. Math is not subjective. It is what it is. Work plus sacrifice will indeed equal improvement. How much improvement, we cannot know, but some is better than none. Having firmness, focus, and confidence is infectious. When we demonstrate how good living and maturity are done, and we live as an example of those qualities, we become an influence. It rubs off. Be objectively honest. Meditation and honesty with yourself are needed if you are to remain objective. Objectivity is the quality of experiencing something without being influenced by our own personal perspective of it. Consider again the rain example. Rain is not good or bad, it is simply wet. We subjectively add the quality of it being good or bad. By evaluating everything as it truly is in its own reality rather than what we want it to be or think it is or should be, we depersonalize the thing and are now in a position to act upon it objectively. Perceiving something objectively leads us to interact objectively rather than emotionally. Be mature. Take the high road. Be the adult in a situation. Objectivity will manifest as maturity. Maturity has nothing to do with age. Never assume you are mature just because you have many years on this planet and have survived challenges. There are 2 qualities that come with being mature: dignity and grace. Maturity does not suppress our emotions and thoughts. Rather, it expresses and communicates them in respectful and sensitive ways without personalizing or exploding. Hey waiter, get this crap off my table. What kind of dump is this anyway? Becomes, excuse me, waiter, can you please send this back and bring me the fish instead? You're still getting the job done, but no one is offended, and the waiter will probably apologize instead of spitting in your food. If someone is going to behave poorly, don't let it be you. If you're wrong or you mishandle a situation, apologize and compensate. Everyone feels a sense of closure if apologized to, but only compensation brings full closure. If the waiter says, "Sorry, sir," and nothing more, you feel marginally better. But if the waiter apologizes and discounts your bill, you feel total closure. As a recovery supporter, you must set the example by taking every opportunity to apologize and compensate when you behave improperly. Not so you can prove a point by rubbing it in or use it later for leverage, but so you can demonstrate what being sober and mature really is. At the very least, the addicted person will be subconsciously attracted to this behavior and slowly want to emulate it. Be mature, be graceful, and be dignified. And if you aren't, don't be afraid to acknowledge and compensate for your own errors. Maintain and enforce boundaries. Agreed upon boundaries cannot be disposable. If you compromise them, the addict's mind will categorize you as uncaring, someone not truly willing to hold to principles that are loving and caring. The addict will test your boundaries, and once he or she is sober, the addict will resent you for not loving him or her enough to have gotten tough when the tough got going. The alien wants to know where the real boundaries are, so it knows what it can cross and how often. Hold the line. Giving in is not compassionate, it's reckless. That being said, do not enforce and maintain boundaries with force, punishment, or shame. Boundaries need to be upheld objectively. You can entertain discussions of bending rules, but make it known you are merely indulging and not likely open to negotiation. Have a discussion, hear out the argument, and in a sentence or two, sustain the agreed upon boundaries. Lengthy discussions are overindulgence, but no discussion shows unreasonableness. When disagreement occurs, follow this formula. 1. Have a dialogue. 2. Express your thoughts. 3. Move on. Here's an example. Okay, I've listened to you without interrupting and I've truly heard what you've said, and I can see how you think it applies here, but I respectfully disagree. We need to stick to the plan. I will continue to think over what you said, even though I don't see myself changing my mind. Unless I get back to you on it, please let this rest. It's been discussed and thought about, but we're going to hold to the original agreement. If the addict persists, then he or she needs to be told that you can sense this becoming an argument and that you won't participate. Maybe in a few hours you can ask if I've changed my mind, but this decision is entrusted to me and, correct or incorrect, I've decided. I know you probably think I'm being unfair or inconsiderate, but this is where it lies for now. We're sticking to the original agreement. No, it won't be this easy in real life. No one goes down without a fight, and you shouldn't either. The alien will fight to protect itself like a rabid dog, so you better be willing to fight and protect the agreed upon goals. Do not allow your fears or insecurities to make your decisions. Decisions should be made through careful contemplation when you have clarity and sensibility, not when your passions are up or when you're angry or scared. It is often necessary to simply say no to something to at least get some time to consider it, such as, if you demand a decision at this moment, then it's no. Don't guess. If you're guessing, then you're not ready to make a decision. Do lots of research. Consult this book, go online, and think and meditate until you arrive at certainty. Be careful with research. More ideas can sometimes convolute your thinking instead of making it clearer. I once had a client who was seeing me as well as 4 other professionals, a counselor, a medical doctor, a life coach, and a neurologist, all to lose weight and reduce stress. We all had the same objectives for her, but our methods and insights varied. No one was wrong, well, maybe a couple of them were, but the client spent more time contemplating all the viewpoints than she did taking action. I advised her to pick 2 people and axe the rest, even if I ended up being one of the ones axed. When confused, make getting clarity your mission. Now you're an angel. The recovery supporter role is exhausting and rarely feels like it will ever pay off. It is a selfless role and will often require more from you when you seem to have nothing left. becoming even more demanding as you wear down. As a recovery supporter, you cannot run on a time-sensitive agenda because any time limit you set will be tested or defied. As someone who is fortunate enough to have made a career of assisting others in their recovery and growth toward independence, I can assure you that the end result is not just happiness, but fulfillment. Whether or not the addict achieves recovery, you will require the peace of mind that comes from knowing that you tried. This is the only way you'll ever escape the subtle sense or crushing guilt that you drove right by an accident scene and chose not to help. After counseling for over 10 years, I have had some clients who did not succeed. After each of those cases, I scrutinized my role. If after all that intense scrutiny, I felt that I had missed no opportunity to help and provided sensible, excellent counsel, then I was freed of the accountability. Of course, I was still truly saddened by the outcome. I wish I could end all suffering, but I am merely an expert in one specific field with human limitations. If Christ or Buddha could not wake us all up to the truth, all you or I can do is try our best and accept that tragedy abounds. As a recovery supporter, your role is vital. Do not follow, lead correctly, or get out of the way.